Good morning. Thank you so very much for joining us on Sunrise on Salt Television. What would have been a very beautiful Monday morning for me has been overshadowed by reports coming from Adamawa State, where at least 5 people have been confirmed dead and about 50 people injured, all because of carelessness on our part. I would say complacency on the parts of people who live in flood-prone areas who wouldn't do anything about them, and then government playing politics with people's lives, something that happens every single year. And then every year we still hear stories of huge amount of money allocated to flooding. And yet, every single year we also hear stories of people whose lives have been cut short by something that could have been avoided. But then, it's still a beautiful morning. At least Laura found a way to brighten it with her very beautiful polka dot black and white and the beautiful red jacket and then the beautiful smile on her face. And she acting like she isn't even hearing what I'm saying. Hello, good morning, ma.
Amaki Zuchuku.
No, it's painful, really. I mean, but it's fine.
Yeah, indeed, it's sad. It's sad because I know that we've had programs here where predictions were given and we thought that government would have taken a proactive measures to ensure that some of these things are avoided. And like I was telling you before we came on air, that it's been like a repeated occurrence, especially with Niger State. That place is flood prone. Every year you will hear one story or the other coming from that state. And it's like lives don't matter anymore in this country. It's saddening. You know, it's really sad that you get up from your house, you're going for a wedding or you're going to your farm or wherever, and then the story just ends there. It's really sad. And Amaka, I empathize with the people of Niger State and Nigeria at large, and we pray that this will not continue. And Adamawa State, you know. And there are still more states, because from what we are hearing, there's still going to be more flooding. Yeah. So we need to do more. And that is my way of saying a very big welcome to the program today, Sunrise on Salt Television. I am Laura Manze. And today we're going to be looking at our talking segment. We'll be looking at trafficking in persons. You know, this has become an issue that is really saddening, how people can trade other human beings. In the past, it's been like, okay, we had slave trade and it's in the past. But these days, it's live with us, and it's even the kind of methods they employ to enslave others, to traffic others, including children, is saddening. And after that, we are going to be looking at the newspaper headlines. Let's know what is all over the newspapers today with Amaka Izuchuku. So it's a way of saying welcome in the house today to be talking about trafficking in persons. I have Goodness Mbaja. Goodness is a state coordinator, CSO Nets, NetMed, civil society organization, network on migration and development, and a member of anti-human trafficking task force here in Ebonyi State. It's a pleasure to have you here. Goodness.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yes,
since I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, since Trump came, a lot changed. We've not been doing a lot of our health things, but it's all right. So we are taking ownership, which is what is important.
Of course.
All right, and also with her is we have Ifunanya Chuku. She's a member of National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons here in Ebonyi State. Ifunanya, good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with you, Ifunanya. When we talk about trafficking, since it apparently is your core ministry, what do you mean by trafficking in persons?
Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, it's not a ministry, it's an agency.
An agency, well, it's a ministry in the sense that it's what you do. So it's your ministry.
Okay, thank you. Human trafficking, generally. Before we talk about it, we talk about the art, means, and the purpose. So the art will mean by the process in which the person is trafficked. So you can define human trafficking as the recruitment or transportation of victims or people from one place to another by the means of fraud, coercion, then for the purpose of exploitation, which could be commercial or sexual exploitation. That's the definition of human trafficking.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Happiness, you are a member of the task force.
Yes.
And I know that your organization is doing a lot in the area of alleviating some of the inhuman things or treatment that people who are trafficked are melted at. So tell me, what exactly is your society or your organization doing as it has to do with human trafficking?
All right, thank you very much. Before I tell you what we do as a task force, I want to also inform the public that every 30th of July is International Day of Observance for Women Trafficking, and for us to create that awareness that human trafficking is existing, is with us, and for people to be aware of this menace. And so for our organization, that is the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force of Ebonyi State, is a multi-sectoral task force, meaning comprising different agencies, CSOs, coming together, to fight this menace called human trafficking that is leveraging our society.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
If not, please just help us to understand, because most times when we hear human trafficking, our minds go to, moving people from one place to outside the country. Human trafficking, is it something that can happen within a particular locality, or must it necessarily involve borders?
Okay. Actually, there are two types of human trafficking, which could be within the country or outside the country. So human trafficking can take place anywhere. It can take place from one village to another, from one state to another. That's from Ebonyi to Kaduna, or from Ebonyi to Lagos. That's within the country. Then it can also take place from Ebonyi to Italy, to Europe. So long as there is transportation by the means of coercion or let me say to deceive people, then for the purpose of exploitation, so long as there is exploitation, then it confirms it as human trafficking. People can travel for good purposes, for education, for jobs, but then when there is purpose of exploitation and you deceive the person, it is called human trafficking. You're
going to have to break down this exploitation for us, because not every single one of us can, understand that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was waiting for you to say it can happen from Ebonyi to Ebonyi. You didn't say that. So I'm thinking when someone goes to Eza, for instance, and takes another child for the purpose of exploitation. So another part of Eza, that's not...
No, I say from one village to another.
I mean within the same village.
Yeah, it can. It can.
Okay, so
thank you.
Let's understand exploitation now.
Exploitation means to use people for profit. It could be job. It could be sexual. For instance, you deceived someone to come to your place or to come to your house to be a house help, that you're going to train the person in school, or you're going to help the person to enroll in a skill acquisition. But at the end of the day, you don't do any of those. The person stays at home, works from morning till night without any of this. The person doesn't go to school. Nothing comes into the person's account. The person is just being used as a slave. And not just that, you treat the person like she's not a human being or he's not a human being. You always abuse the person, maybe physically, you treat the person feel less of himself, and then at the end of the day, the person will go back with nothing. That's one. That's for commercial exploitation. Or people working for you without pay. People deceive people to follow them outside the country. But when they get there, they will find out that they will seize their papers. They will have to work for years. Working for the people, they will tell them that you have to pay for every dime we spent on you before taking you outside the country.
In the case of that Kenyan judge who took a lady to London or so.
Yes. So at the end of the day, the person will keep working around the clock, but actually working for the person that trafficked the person without being paid. Then for sexual exploitation, people can deceive people. Okay, I have a better job for you outside the country, maybe house help, maybe a sales rep or anything, hairdressing, model. So when they get there, they will seize their papers. We've rescued most of them. So when they get there, they will have to start sleeping with different men. most of them contract diseases. They don't even have means of coming back. Meanwhile, they lie to their parents that they'll be sending them pounds and dollars when they come back. But most times, they don't even get to hear from them. So we rescued most of them. When they come back, they will come back with different kinds of diseases. So they are just sleeping with men. But the money is going to their mama G. So that is what we call exploitation.
But this particular one you just mentioned now, where you say they're being exploited sexually and nothing is coming to them. I've had cases whereby even though those people are being, exploited sexually, was not part of the agreement, but the Mama G or the Papa G sends money home to the parents from time to time. Does that make it not human trafficking?
It's still trafficking.
Okay. Just for clarity's sake.
It's still trafficking.
Okay, Happiness, your network also has to do with migration and development. Now, when you talk about migration and development, what exactly is that as it has to do with, because you're a member of a task force.
Yeah.
Oh, so when people are migrated from one place to another, how does you being a member of task force play a role in that?
Okay, you cannot leave migration from trafficking because people need to move from one point to the other. It's a natural phenomenon. But what we are saying is that if you're moving, let it be through a regular route. People travel irregularly, trying to boycott, cut short, cut short on their trips or boycotting processes that are standard for traveling. But what we do is to educate people that if you are traveling, you must go through the right route, so that any point of entry, any country or any community you find yourself, let that community know that you are there. Let them know that you're there physically in anything you're doing, so that you can be accounted for. And of course, some of these traffickers, they leverage on these loopholes, on migrant flow, on vulnerability, and when communities are not underserved. So these traffickers, they leverage on these processes, to traffic people, painting a scenario of luxury, that everything is greener in the other side, whereas the grass that is green here is also the same grass that is also green in the other side. And so we try to advocate for regular routes. Don't go through the irregular route, because a lot of persons that have been trafficked, most times boycott these processes, go through the desert border, and they end up there. Some families don't even know that their persons have died in the desert, and they believe that, our children are overseas, they will be sending money to us and all of that. But these are fallacies, these are lies. So as a task force, it is our responsibility to create this awareness that if you are traveling, travel through the regular route. We have the migration services that takes charge of these processes. You have your documentation properly done, your visas and all of that, so that when, in case of eventuality, you will be traced and you'll be tracked, and people will know your whereabouts. People can give account of where you are. Like I said in my intro, that the task force is a multi-sectoral mechanism that is set to create awareness, to conscientize people on the dangers of human trafficking. Like I said, they always take advantage of the vulnerability of persons. Poverty also drives this process. And then when communities are not being served by those leaders that were elected, to provide basic amenities, then they look for a shorter cut. And when they come with these scenarios of it's greener in the other side, come, let's take you over, and they will always cajole them to go to these places. They don't tell them the real truth. They don't give them the real information. They think that money is being picked along the streets. And of course, hard work pays. And so parents are being, deceived to give out their children to go to work for one big madam that they don't know. Maybe at the end of the day, they send peanuts to them and then deny these children, the hard work they have been doing. Some of them are being exploited, like Ifunanya had said. When you cajole people, when you coerce somebody to do certain things for you without telling the person the actual reason why you are employing that person. and then at the end of the day, you have trafficked that person. And we have different ways people are being trafficked.
Help us understand, because when you were speaking, one thing I could deduce is the thing about following due process, procedure to travel. And my mind was just saying, okay, so this is for any travels that, involve cross-border, moving from Nigeria to Niger, for instance. I have to cross a border. So I'm wondering, what are those processes, this illegal, you mentioned we have migration centers. What are these legal processes? And I'm also thinking of, what if it doesn't have to be outside a border, just within a state, within a village, within a community? What are still those legal processes, so that should anything happen, we have a way of tracking and saying, so we know this person, this is where this person is, this is where this person who took this person is?
Okay, when we talk about migration, it's in two ways. We have the international and the national. And then when it comes to the national level, we also have the local, migration. People travel from one point to the other. People travel from one community to the other, to seek for greener pastures. People come from the rural areas to the urban areas, to fend for themselves. And most times, some persons, most especially our youths, they don't tell their family members where they are going to. All of a sudden, you just discover that this person is not around. And then you try calling, you try to trace, and the person is not available. And at the end up, trying to, feed this their overzealousness to make money, and then to, fend for themselves, they end up in the hands of these traffickers. So even if you're traveling internationally, you're traveling locally, you're traveling interstate, or within your village, let somebody know that you're moving. And then, of course, you go through the regular route. We have our motor parks where you should travel ordinarily. And some of these places, some of our motor parks are routes for traffickers, because they take these children through means of transportation, that is by road or by air, by sea. And so for us, we advocate that if you're traveling, whether within your village, whether within your communities or in the next state, let somebody know that you are traveling. You are moving from one point to the other, so that you can be accounted for. Most times you hear accidents on the roads, and then people are not being accounted for. People are not being, you cannot trace their families, because some of them don't even know that they even traveled in the first place. Yes, and some don't travel with their IDs. They don't travel with any form of identification. And so it becomes very difficult to even trace this person. So even if you're traveling within the state, we are saying that somebody should be able to know your movement. If you're traveling to see an uncle, does your parents know this uncle you're traveling to? It might be that somebody just cajoled you that come to Lagos, or I want to give you job. At the end of the day, the person, you don't even know that the person has another ulterior motive to exploit you, because the person has already coerced you, deceived you to believe that there is job somewhere that you'll be paid huge amounts of money. So that's why for us as a task force, we are leveraging on this International Day of Observance for Anti-Human Trafficking, telling people that human trafficking is a gross violation of human rights, is barbaric, and it boils down on the fundamental human rights of somebody, because a lot of persons that are being trafficked, some of them are being forced into sexual exploitation, with some persons forced to work over more than what they should work. Some of them are underpaid, or they don't even pay, or when they pay them peanuts, or most times they send peanuts to their parents, believing that their children are working, but in the true sense of it, they are not doing anything. They are being forced to work or being exploited.
Okay, does it help to also mention, for instance, I'm traveling with Laura.
Yeah.
Does it help to also mention, so I'm traveling with Laura, this is who Laura is, and this is where we said we are going to. This is our phone number, just in case you can't reach me. Because you were saying, let people know you're traveling. Let someone know you're traveling. So I'm saying, does it also help to mention the person you will be traveling with,
It also helps because by the time people start asking questions, at least there is somebody to give a response to such questions. And that's why most motor parks, they make available their manifesto so that people will be able to put down their details. A lot of persons don't believe in such things, but it is very, very important so that when such thing, in case of eventuality, we can be able to, trace such persons and then be able to account for people as well, so that let it not be that you are traveling and then you end up in the wrong place with the wrong person.
Okay, Ifunanya, trafficking of different types. And in Nigeria, we've discovered that there are even those that have what they call baby factories, where they keep these young people and they just keep producing children, and those children end up in different homes or even across the borders. So now what I'm asking is, for instance, if I have a house help and that house help, I've told, maybe I went to their village and brought the house help with the intention, or I even told the parents, like you people have mentioned, that I'm going to give her a job, and then she ends up in my house and starts producing babies. And the babies, you don't get to see those. What is that? And is there a law that can, be used against such a person that things like that happen to? If, for instance, you're in a house and you have a child and that child disappears, what happens to you and even the person that is keeping you? Are there laws to protect such mothers or such unfortunate victims?
I got the first question correctly, but the second one, I didn't get to. You say when you have a baby,
yes,
and the baby gets missing.
Yes, and you're living with somebody, and suddenly there are stories surrounding, okay, I gave birth to a child, and then the child is suddenly trafficked or is given or has been given out to another person. Are there laws to protect you as the mother of the child, and what happens to the person that did that?
Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, we have NAPTIP arts. We have different arts. So all these arts covers all those things. First of all, sale of baby is very bad. It's against the law. It's human rights violation. You don't have to sell a baby. And even if you want to adopt a baby, you should follow due process.
And what are those due process?
The due process, you have to go to Ministry of Women Affairs. They will guide the person. Maybe they will take you to the court, you sign some documents before you can get a baby. But whereby a person brings in someone, a household for that matter, and then you made the baby, you turn the baby into a baby producing machine, is a very big offense, and the person has to face the law. When we rescue, that's why we always tell people, when you see something, say something, so that NAPTIP can do something. At least when such a thing is happening, I believe there are neighbors around, unless maybe it's the segregated area. But then the victim, if peradventure she gets to meet people, she has to speak up. Because when we get such information, we are going to rescue her, because most times we rescue people like that. In fact, NAPTIP has employed some of our victims, and most times we empower them. But then the person, the perpetrator, the trafficker herself, has to face the law. Yes. So it depends now on the judge to tell how many years of imprisonment. Of course, it's a crime.
Okay, it's a crime,
yes.
to
and you
do
don't just
that.
say a baby is missing. So we have to investigate, because we have the mandate to investigate, arrest and prosecute. So even if the baby was actually missing, we have to investigate to find out if truly the baby was missing or there is something behind the story. Okay,
Happiness, as a member of the task force, if you're faced with such a scenario...
I think you have just changed her name now.
Goodness and happiness, all of them. Sorry, dear. No so if in scenarios like that, what would your network do? Your task force, you're a member of the task force,
yes,
and if you find situations like this, because there are actual situations like this,
yes,
what would you do?
Okay, as a
going forward, because most times you discover that those who trafficked somebody,
yes,
is maybe way up there financially and otherwise, you understand, and you that your child or you yourself that has been trafficked, you are inconsequential, so to speak. So what further steps would you take outside the investigation? What happens? How do you follow up?
Okay, as a task force, we have the mandate to, respond, to rescue, and also to prevent trafficking in the state. For us, what we do is to collaborate amongst the agencies, the organizations that make up the task force.
What are those agencies?
The agency, we have Ministry of Justice. Ministry of Justice is the chairman of the task force. That is the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. He's the chairman of the task force. And then we have NAPTIP as a member. We have CSOs, Ministry of Women Affairs. We have the police. We have civil service, the civil defense, sorry, and we have the Nigerian Immigration Service and other coalitions. We also have NACTA. These are members of the task force. So we leverage on the strength of all these agencies. And it is also important that intelligence gathering, we have these collaborations with security agencies for intelligence gathering so that we'll be able to track and also respond to issues around trafficking. Because the issue of trafficking is everywhere. Ebonyi State is not exempted. And like I said in my intro, people that are vulnerable, where government don't provide necessary infrastructures, amenities for people, they are prone for trafficking. And these traffickers, they leverage on all of these. And so for us, we prevent, our mandate is anchored on 5 pillars. We have prevention, prosecution, and of course policies, research, and data collection, and then policies. So these are where our mandates are anchored on, so that at each point in time where we need to respond, if it's in the area of prosecution, then the police comes in. If it's in the area of policy formulation, we have Ministry of Justice that will also give their own advice on some of the arrests that have been made. They are the ones to say, okay, this person is going to stand trial.
Have you had any of that you follow to a logical conclusion? Can we have has there been a scenario or an actual case that you followed up?
We have a lot of cases that we have recorded in the task force. And of course, NAPTIP as a member of the task force also comes in. We hand over such perpetrators and the victim as well for rehabilitation and also for, reintegration in the communities, because some of them go through a lot of violence. You cannot.
Sorry, goodness, let me just cut you short. Laura is just moving in circles. I'll just help you. A recent issue broke out in Ebonyi State last week. There were insinuations that the Commissioner for Women Affairs was involved in a trafficking issue. In this case, it was a house help who, was having babies, and these babies were being said. As I said, these were allegations which she has come out to debunk. Okay. And having you in the studio this morning is awesome. Want to know, this issue, did it make its way to either of your desks? Are there investigations? Because Ebonians want to see that, these agencies and organizations that fight crime do not just fight crime when it has to do with the ordinary masses, but even when big shots are involved, you do something. So I think that question that Laura was beating around was, she wanted to know if this issue has come to your desk. Are there investigations underway? Because if there is something I learned from ADR, it's the fact that there should be justice for the one who is guilty and justice for the one who has been hurt. Yeah. Because if this is just an allegation, the image of the commissioner has been greatly tarnished, and she was weeping and saying she didn't do anything like that. The help also is saying her child was adopted, and then 700,000 naira was given to her. And I was asking, what is this 700,000 naira for? She says it's for the stress of pregnancy. So want to know if this matter actually came to your desk. What is the real truth, or rather the updates? Because you soon tell us you're not allowed to speak on matters that are, undergoing investigation. But we just want to have a clearer picture so that we are also not in the dark.
I think you
If
just,
not, the
you
matter
just
is also
ambushed.
it's also on
You
your
just
desk.
ambushed me on this, and I'm glad you said that the
It's just an
commissioner
allegation
for-
that the commissioner has said
Yes.
she didn't do it.
So you said that the commissioner for women affairs has come here to
Not come here, she said it.
Okay, she said it. Okay, has cleared the air that maybe such thing did not happen. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think I heard such story. But I know that Ministry of Women Affairs is saddled with that responsibility for adoption.
Okay.
And then if you want to adopt a child, there is a legal process for it that anyone that is seeking to adopt a child should go to. And then cutting corners will land you into trouble. And then when money has exchanged hands, that means that person or that child is being trafficked. So I don't have the full information of this story you're talking about. But for us as task force, we have responded to issues of trafficking. We have received calls from whistleblowers, telling us that at some point that some persons are being trafficked. And when you see a group of children, traveling unaccompanied, it sends a signal that these children are being exposed to trafficking.
If Nanya, the smile on your face, I have to call goodness now. The look on your face. Did you hear any of such thing? Did it come to your office at all? Because we also want to know how you get your information. If this issue that has been on the public space for a while, I mean, these materials, you say these ones are viral. If this matter didn't come to our CSO NetMed and it didn't come to NAPTIP, is that not saying something about your information gathering process or technique? Or maybe you do selective prosecution and investigation?
Anyway, we have different departments. The people who may know of this are people who are in investigation and monitoring. I'm in public enlightenment department, so
okay.
I didn't get to know about it. So if there is, I think maybe they heard about it.
And these departments, all of them, every single one of them works in isolation. You do your public this thing, you sit, the other person does investigation.
Sorry, when a case is under investigation, they have to keep their mouth shut. You have big ears, big eyes, and a small mouth because it's still under investigation.
Okay, but as a public enlightenment officer with NAPTIP, you should know a thing or two about adoption. And when adoptions happen, do we have monies exchanging hands to say, for the stress of, I want to give this money to the mother to compensate her for, all the pregnancy wahala that she went through? Is that something that happens often?
There is a better approach than saying this. I think after the adoption, you don't just say you want to compensate her. What are you compensating? Are you the one that impregnated her? But I think you can say, if the person is vulnerable and is from a very poor background, she doesn't really know where to go, or she doesn't know her left from her right as of that time, and no maybe rich family member that can assist, maybe you can actually help her to enroll in any skill acquisition and then maybe empower her. Empowerment involves money and then materials that she will need that will help her. Because most times if you leave them like that, they are going to be trafficked, or they will still go back to that something that made them got pregnant. And of course, it's due to poverty for most of them.
Happiness, what we want to establish here is, I don't know, goodness, if I am sorry, goodness, I'm coming to you later. What we want to establish here is, should there be money officially? Is money legally involved in any form of adoption?
I'm trying to tell you, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to tell you that you can empower somebody.
That's
like
different.
That.
Empowerment, that is charity. You understand? But what we are saying that in a legal adoption, you understand? If you want to adopt, yes, please come in. Yes.
In legal adoption, money does not
play a role.
Doesn't play a role. There are processes, and like I said before, Ministry of Women Affairs is saddled with that responsibility of ensuring smooth processes, and then parties that are involved are they of sound mind and good character, and then you give your reasons for adoption, and then they follow up. They must follow up on the intending couples or individual that wants to adopt. So there are processes, and if you don't go through the right process, that means you're doing an illegal job. For anybody to have given you money in exchange for your baby, that means that child is being trafficked. And as NAPTIP, even though I don't work for NAPTIP, but because there's this synergy, these collaborations that we have built over time, we know that it is illegal for money to exchange hand. And of course, for the task force, if we hear such thing, we'll clamp down on you. And recently, we've had this conversation that a committee should be set up, a multi-sectoral committee should be set up for adoption, so that we look at it from different angles, we look at it with different lenses, so that we know that the parties that want to go for adoption, are genuine and germane, and not fraudulent people, not traffickers that want to come in disguise to traffic innocent children for different negative reasons. And so, like I said, there are regulations, there are rules, there are procedures for adoption. We need to sensitize people to go through this route. People should not go through the back door to, to baby factories. And that's why, for task force, we clamp down on such information. Information gathering is very, very key. Exchange of intelligence is also very important for us to work effectively.
Oh, okay. Ifunanya, you said your agency has different departments. I just learned something: big ears, big eyes, but small mouth. Okay. Now that you have this small mouth and you're just saddled with sensitization, public enlightenment, and coming on this program now, you've heard something you claim not to know about. Perhaps we want to see a follow-up to that, because the essence of coming on programs or sensitization or trying to talk to people is to ensure that if there are ills in a society, it is corrected. So now I would want to know if going forward there is something like a scenario we just painted for you, will your agency be doing something about it with the information that you have heard today? I mean, this is part of information gathering, right? Yeah. So what will your agency be doing, having had something like this, and considering who is involved in it?
Okay. First of all, I want to remind us that nobody is above the law. So whether it's the commissioner or the president. So as I've heard this now, when I go back, I'm going to let them know. So it's not left for them to investigate. So if actually she didn't do anything, she's not going to face the law. But if she's guilty, she will face the law. But for now, I just heard of it today, like right now.
In the studio.
In the studio, but nobody is above the law. That's what I want to remind all of us.
Okay.
All right, please help us understand, because I've heard both of you say poverty is the main reason for trafficking, because we're coasting home. We just want to understand, what are these other drivers of trafficking in persons? What are those drivers of trafficking in persons? Maybe you help us understand. That's why she helps us understand, because I think both of you said it, you see something, you say something. What do we see? And what should we say, and to whom? That's something you help us understand. That's right after you've told us drivers of trafficking in persons.
Okay. Apart from poverty, lack of knowledge, or let's say ignorance. Because people who live in the dark, they are mostly the people who are trafficked. Who
live in the dark, never know they are alive.
Who live in the dark, like they are really ignorant. They don't really know what is happening. Let's say people who are already in the town, or people who are enlightened already know these are the things that happen.
But most trafficking is done inside town too.
Most of them are still ignorant.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It doesn't matter where you are. An ignorant person can be anywhere. So ignorance is one of them. Because what you don't know may kill you. And even the Bible said that my people perish for lack of knowledge. So that's another thing. Then another one is greedy. A lot of people are greedy. Most of them, their parents can afford the 3 square meal, but because they want a better life, they want
they want to eat for not 2.
No, you don't understand. All those quick, make it quick syndrome,
Get
rich syndrome in most of our youths. So maybe they've painted it that, okay, if you travel there, you just make money as soon as possible. You can come and build your mansion and all that. So not that they are not comfortable where they are, but because they are greedy. So
they want more.
They want to, because even adults, most of them are trafficked, apart from children. Not because they are not comfortable, but because they have long truths. And when they get there, it's what you heard versus what you see. So I think another one is gender mainstreaming. Like, you need to take care of your children. You don't just have to say the male child is better than the female child. Especially here in Ebonyi State, you see some families that will prefer to train their male child more than their female child. But then there is this saying that says train a female and then train the generation or the world. Because we can also attest to that most females, they take care of their families more than the male. When a man marries, the man will focus on his family, but most women will always remember their parents. So we need to change that mindset of male child is better than female child. And then we need to show love to our children, because most times these children, they actually run into these traffickers because they don't have that love at home. They don't feel, especially most mothers, they will abandon their children to be doing other things. The children can't talk to them, they can't speak up. You will see a mother, she wouldn't know that the child has been raped more than 4 times. Maybe it's an uncle or is a driver, you know. So we need to have time for our children.
So communication.
Yes, communication matters a lot. So I think these are
some of the drivers.
Of them, yes.
All right, happiness. Goodness, my God.
Wow.
It's a new name.
Funny enough, my sister is also very happy.
Enjoy it.
Goodness, please enjoy it.
I'll enjoy it, happiness and goodness. Okay, so the drivers of trafficking, we've mentioned poverty. And then another one would be communal crisis. You know, areas that are prone to communal crisis tends to drive people to go to other places and then they fall victim of being trafficked. You know, the first instinct of human being is to survive, to eat, you know, to feed, to wear clothes, and where all of these are not being provided for, and the person is struggling. Once the person sees, you know, a better offer, quote and unquote, these flashy ideas that when I move to, or when I follow this particular big auntie to city, he or she will provide me with all of these essentials. So communal crises make people to be vulnerable and they are prone to being trafficked by traffickers. We also have when government don't provide the necessary, you know, essentials, social services for the people they govern. You know, it also drives trafficking. And then, of course, family planning is very, very key. When parents or couple tends to have more children that they can cater for. You know, when growing up, they used to say that when you have more children, it's an insurance for you at old age. But the reality, the economic crunch that we are facing.
More children, more wahala.
More children, more wahala. You have not even catered for one and then you are having 10 children. I mean, so, and then the tendency for you to give out your children to domestic servitude, to persons that you don't even know because they promise you monthly salaries or monthly incentives that doesn't even come. And then so the woman or the parent is quick to say, okay, follow this person.
I know one who goes around asking, are you sure you don't need, the smaller sister is hardworking. Are you sure you don't need this one?
Then you should report to the task force and then we'll take it up from there.
Okay.
So these are the things we preach against. The schools are on holidays, the children are on holidays rather. And then you will see more people coming down to the village, most especially in Ebonyi State. They always believe that Ebonyi children are good for domestic works and all of that. And so they come down to Ebonyi State to recruit some of these our children to other places, even outside the country, you know, to exploit them. And then for us, it's something we are preaching against. Like I said, this year, July 30th is always an International Day of Observance for us to draw that consciousness to people that human trafficking is real and there are consequences for human trafficking. A lot of them fall victim to traffickers by harvesting their organs. Some of them are being exploited sexually. And then when you go to a construction site, you see little children, people that should be in school, you know, serving as laborers, carrying heavy things that they shouldn't carry.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking that question. What should we see? For instance, I didn't know that this particular man who has well over 15 children and is always asking, are you sure you don't want this one to help you? He works hard though. What should we see? What do we say? To whom? Because we have about 2 minutes to wrap up.
When you see such scenarios that you just painted, or you notice that in a particular locality, children are always traveling to a certain place, you know, without a proper information or without cogent reasons, it should be a signal for you to say, oh, I think something is happening. Or you see an environment where it's being secluded, people hardly come in and go out, but you know that things are being done in secrecy in that particular place. It's time for people to blow their whistle and then inform the necessary authorities.
All right. If I just for us to wrap
Can you
it
tell
up.
us the necessary authorities?
That's what I was. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, the necessary authorities are the anti-human trafficking task force. We have the NAPTIP, we have police, we have the DSS, we have the civil defense, we have Ministry of Women Affairs, and then of course individuals can also come to Ministry of Justice to report.
Now, what if I don't want to come out openly so that they will know which hunt me and say I am the one that said?
Actually, that is how we work. Confidentiality is top notch. So even if it's your next door neighbor, your neighbor wouldn't even know that you are the one. We will never. So you just have to speak up.
So
then if you don't want to have hotlines, we have hotlines.
Okay.
There is 070 3000 or you call our short code with MTN number 627 or our email info@naptip.gov.ng, or we have Facebook and Instagram Twitter handles www.naptip.gov.ng. That's all.
Okay, now outside this, what other thing can one do, just in a minute, to prevent human trafficking? What can you as an individual, outside coming to NAPTIP or the CSOs that are saddled or task force, what can you do as an individual, a member of a society, to help in prevention of human trafficking? Just in a minute.
Okay, as an individual, you have the responsibility to speak up, to report. Go to any of these places that we have mentioned. If you want us to not to expose your identity, we will do that. Whistleblowing is encouraged. You can call and then we'll take it off from there, provided you're giving us the right information. This year's theme for human trafficking is
anti-human trafficking.
Anti-human trafficking, sorry, is to end organized. Human trafficking is an organized crime, end exploitation. So it beholds on us to come collectively as stakeholders, as critical stakeholders, to ensure that no child, no woman, no girl, even boys are being trafficked outside Ebonyi State, even within our urban areas.
Okay. All right, this is where we are going to be stopping it for today. We hope to see more of what you're doing by the 30th, you say, 30th of this month.
That's until this time.
Yes.
Yes, to see what you're doing on anti-human trafficking, especially here in Ebonyi State. I want to say a very big thank you to Goodness Ngbaja, State Coordinator, CSO, NetMed, and Civil Society Organization Network on Migration and Development, and also a member of Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Thank you. That's a mouthful. Thank you for coming today. And of course, Ifunanya Chiku, a member of, she's with NAPTIP. Thank you. I hope we didn't put you too much on the spot today. So don't be scared to come next time when we're calling. All right. We're going to be taking a short break now, and then we'll return. Amaka.
All right, guys. See you soon. My name is Amaka Isuchukwu.